A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising, and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, And you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler, who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly, and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out. And behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord.
Our Gospel on this solemnity of the Epiphany is taken from St. Matthew. We have been reflecting on the many paths to reach Jesus, who is the light of the nations. In the first reading from Isaiah, the light of the Lord, the glory of the Lord is shared with the city Jerusalem, so that this city could serve as a beacon to nations walking in darkness, and seeing the light of the Lord shining upon Jerusalem, they would stream to the Lord, bearing their gifts. Nations will be united thanks to the light that God shines upon everyone through Jerusalem. So, brothers and sisters, our communities, our cities, our parishes, our families could be a path to guide people to the light of the Lord. So let us examine our community life. If our community life is joyful, if our community life is filled with love, generosity, forgiveness, well, our community could be a path for people to take so that they could discover the Lord. In the second reading, St. Paul tells the Ephesians that there is a light that is waiting for them, the light of communion. No more animosity between Jews and the Gentiles. There will be communion in Jesus. They will be one body in Jesus. They will be co-heirs to salvation in Jesus. But what is the path towards that communion? St. Paul indicates one: apostolic preaching. When we share the gospel, when we are not ashamed to preach Jesus, then who knows, someone there who is searching might hear our words, might hear the word of God, and take that path, being opened by the gospel, to live in communion with God and with neighbors. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let us not deny others the beauty of the gospel. Preach it. The preaching of the word is a path to the light of the Lord. The gospel narrates to us the visit of the Magi to the infant Jesus. This story is shrouded in mystery. There are many characters. And surprisingly, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph said nothing and did nothing. They were just there. But the other characters were very active. Take Herod. Herod was so afraid that a king was born. And we know the path that he took. Maintain my power, ambition. And he ordered the killing of innocent babies, a path to darkness. Then the scribes and the chief priests, consulted by Herod and the Magi, they knew the scriptures. But what was their response? Indifference. They could care less. So what if a new king is born? Indifference. But then the Magi. What were the paths taken by the Magi? First, they were astrologers. They studied the movements of the stars and the heavens, using their science and the information that has reached them that the Jews were waiting for the birth of a king. They used their knowledge, and they used this knowledge of the Jews in order to come to the conclusion, the Messiah, the new king, has been born. Use your knowledge. Don't use your knowledge to go against God. Use your knowledge to search for God, like the Magi. Secondly, they acted. They left their homes. They even took a lot of sacrifice to search for the newborn king. It is not enough to take the path of knowledge. We also need to take the path of self-denial, even sacrifices, to reach the Lord. Are we willing to make some sacrifice in order to see the Lord? Third, they went to Jerusalem and inquired, where is the newborn king to be found? Asking. You know, these are experts, but they paused to ask. The humility to inquire, the humility to learn from other people. This is another path that we should take in order to discover the Lord. Then, fourth, when they were told by the chief priests and the scribes that the prophet Micah pointed to Bethlehem, imagine, these people from the east, they were not Jews. They believed in the Word of God. They believed in the word proclaimed that it should be Bethlehem. So the Word of God is a path to the Lord, just like the teaching of St. Paul in the second reading. Do we take this path, the Word of God, seriously so that we could get to know the Lord? And finally, they reached Bethlehem, guided by the star, and there, with their belief, they prostrated before the infant, an act of homage and adoration, and they gave him gifts. Adoration, homage, self-giving. This is a path that we should take so that we could be in union with the Lord. And in a dream, they were told not to return to Herod. There is sensitivity to the promptings of the Lord, and they obeyed. Obedience, homage, adoration. These are some of the paths taken by the Magi. Very different from the path of Herod and the path of the chief priests and the scribes. I hope we could learn from the Magi. What paths are you taking? There are many paths available. Take one, take all, so that we could come close to the Lord. You know, I met someone who, just like the depiction of the people in the first reading, someone who had to live with darkness. When he was a small boy playing basketball in their yard, police forces came and arrested his father. And that became the talk of the town. The following day, when the boy went to school, no one wanted to come near him. No one wanted to play with him. His old friends avoided him, and even the parents of his friends warned them not to come close to him. This boy grew up with such a wound, and when his father was released, the situation did not change much. So he transferred to another town to pursue his studies. But in that town, even when he was not known, in his heart he felt he was nobody. He should be hated for being part of this family. But he discovered a parish that welcomed him, that treated him as a friend, that allowed him to be who he was, and his wound got healed. That path that the community opened to him was significant. He developed a relationship with the Lord. This man is now a priest. And he is now a path towards the healing of many other wounded people. We are invited to be like that. Be communities, be persons of the light, so that people who are wounded will feel there is hope. I can come to the Lord. The word has been exposed. Let us now fulfill it.